Guys, Gachiakuta is the best anime I've seen in a long, and I mean long, time. Not pretty good, not solid, not potential to be great. I mean actually great right out the gate. It's stylish, it's character driven, the world is insane, the power system is fresh, and every episode has that energy that just grabs you and doesn't let go. And the craziest part about this soon-to-be masterpiece? We're only on season 1, so today I want to break down why exactly Gachiakuta is that anime, how it stands out in an era packed with new series, and why it just might be the most promising shonen to drop in years. If y'all are ready to talk about literal trash, guys, I need y'all to do something. Like the video, okay? That's incredibly important. Subscribe to the channel for more anime content just like this every week. And share it around with all your friends who love the series. You know we always say here, let's get it going. Now when I started Gachiakuta, the first thing that struck me wasn't the action or the power system or even just the mysteries. It was the vibe. This anime has a hip-hop, punk, graffiti mesh to it that you just can't ignore. You got urban decay mixed with neon lights, weapon designs that look like street art brought to life, characters with punk silhouettes and gritty, expressive faces, and in general, a world that feels alive, dirty, and dangerous. It's not your typical clean, polished shonen setting, like the cities in My Hero, JJK, or Demon Slayer. Here they're showing an inherent difference. It feels more modern, more raw almost. And that sets the tone for everything else, especially the characters. Because I'm not joking when I say that what makes Gachiakuta stand out for me is the fact that it is a very character-centric and character-driven story, which of course has amazing action and comedy sequences when need be, but it's character first. Rudo is already one of the best new MCs that we've gotten in a while. Season 1 is already giving him more focus and depth than most MCs get in their first 3 arcs. He's an angry kid, which of course makes sense as we see his motivation and his backstory, but he's not just edgy for the sake of being edgy. He's emotional in that we see his true feelings shine through the cracks in his armor sometimes, but not in an annoying, oh, I always feel weak, I'm gonna cry now sort of way. My Hero. Actually makes it sound like I'm slandering My Hero. It's just Deku season 1. And his motivation and goals are not some high-level crazy dream. He doesn't want to be the strongest in his verse or Hokage or Pirate King. His goals are more personal, more grounded, getting revenge for the man who killed his father. And it posits an interesting dichotomy. How can you chase that revenge while still being a morally good character? One thing Gachiakuta is good at is allowing us to see that we never lose sight of Rudo being human. Even though we see in the middle of the season, something starts to overtake him, this rage almost that completely consumes him. But then he is able to be broken out and has to work on it. And just on that, I'm really glad that it's not a literal evil demon or evil force that takes him over like Kurama in Naruto or Sukuna in JJK, but rather it's just a metaphor for the hatred that's accumulated in him, which he has valid reasons for having. I think that that's a lot more powerful strictly from a character writing perspective, because now you have room for internal growth, which can be his main plot thread, at least for the majority of season 1, and I imagine most of season 2 as well. You see his growth and relations in the various relationships that he's in. Engine, who takes on a forced mentorship role that he comes to appreciate. Ryo, who softens him while challenging him. Zanka, who while initially seeming antagonistic, ended up pulling him out of his own head and being a pillar of support through tough love. And the cleaners in general. His meeting with each new member gives him a new sense of purpose as he wants to stay with and protect them. I guarantee you, to some degree, you will think that Rudo is a cool, dope MC. But even if you don't worry, because there are a myriad of other side characters who you can grow attached to instead. Characters that are all written like actual people. Ryo, Zanka, and Engine, who I mentioned, are all on Rudo's team, so of course, they're kind of the core 4 that we focus on. But that's not all, because there are so many other cleaners, like Tamsi, Delman, Grease, Aisha, Deer, Bro, Guida. So many fantastic characters, each with different striking personalities that I just love to see come to a head on screen. Each person has motives, flaws, dynamics, and even just little side quirks that make them feel like their own person. And the setup of the cleaners is really interesting too, because to me they strike a similar field as guilds in Fairy Tail or the Night Squad system in Black Clover. There are sometimes rivalries and different teams and everything like that, but overall they're all working for the same organization with the same goal in mind. And of course, an emphasis on found family. In terms of flashbacks, I am finding that they are following traditional shonen tropes of giving the flashbacks during action sequences to kind of drive the story through, especially if it comes with some sort of power-up or realization realization for whoever's getting the flashback, which I mean, it is a trope, but I don't necessarily think it's a problem per se. I mean, hey, tropes are tropes because they work. We gradually learn more and more about each person's past as each episode progresses, so it never really feels like too much. You'll notice that I left some people out, and it's because I've been waiting to talk about them till this section. But as the Black community, can we come together and make Kei Arana an honorary member? Because the way that she is giving us real Black anime characters needs to be studied by every other mangaka. I don't care what you're writing. I don't care if you're writing One Piece or Banana Fish. I don't know why Banana Fish was my low bar, but still, the Black characters in Gachiakuta don't feel like they're just being inserted just for the sake of delineating race or because of the fetishization of Black bodies. They are true characters with emotions, hype, and most of all, tough designs. I mean, Simiu, Arca Corvus, my goat Jabber Wonger, they gave him genuine dreads. Nah, Kei Arana, you got it. You can't say the word, but you're definitely tough. So we get it. A lot of the characters are really, really great. But how does it fare in terms of the world? And look, as somebody who's obsessed with world building and looks for that in my shows, I would say it's pretty great. It uses a tactic that is fairly rare nowadays, which is immersion first, explanation later. Gachiakuta throws us into the deep end just like Rudo is thrown into the pit, and we only gradually reveal more mysteries and learn more about the world as Rudo is basically learning about it, which I think is strong because it almost places us in Rudo's footsteps. I mean, you got things like the Abyss, the Sphere, and the Ground, Cleaner Society, the Vital Instrument System, the Watchmen series. Instead of stopping the momentum to have to explain in excruciating detail every little bit of it, we more so are getting to live through it. Every episode answers one question while raising a new one simultaneously. It allows us just enough time for mysteries to feel deep and intriguing without letting it be unanswered for so long that we become bored or don't care anymore. And this speaks to the pacing of the show itself, because it's definitely fast, as in we don't waste time, but it never feels rushed. Every sequence has a purpose, which is definitely more than I could say for a lot of things that come out in the recent years. And honestly, it reminds me a lot of the world building done early on in Attack on Titan, consistently setting up different mysteries and aspects of lore that feel earned every reveal. Speaking on the lore for a bit though, we actually can't go much farther in this video without talking about the power system. It is a battle shonen after all. I mentioned this in my Why Undead Unluck has the best new gen power system video, which I did a few months back. What I personally look for in a power system is a novel idea or new take on an idea that fits with the themes of the story, has rules that are adhered to, and allows for uniqueness between users. And Vital Instruments are all of that. The actual power of the world itself is anima, the same way that a lot of magic has like magic power, or there's ki or chakra, which is just the ideas of thoughts, feelings, and emotions all accumulating into energy, which can then be used for various phenomena. One such phenomena being the trash beast, but more pertaining to our conversation, when you pour anima into an object that you've cared for a long time, then it becomes a vital instrument. Firstly, they're definitely all visually unique, as you have these everyday, mundane, random objects that when energy is poured into them, transform into weapons with sick designs and interesting, unique powers. The powers themselves are tied to people's backstories and incorporate really well with their personality and fighting styles, whether it be Zanka's staff's long reach, or Rio's giant scissors which she uses in tandem with her legs. This makes them truly unique to each user, such that whenever a new giver shows up, I'm always excited to see what their vital instrument can do. On top of that, they also heavily tie into the lore aspect of the world, as a major mystery right now is the Watchmen series, a series of vital instruments that are currently owned by different people, but all used to be owned by the same person way back in the day. But most of all, the power system ties in really well with Gachiakuta's main themes, which are value, worth, what people discard. And in fact, speaking of themes, everything in Gachiakuta comes back to one central idea. What gives something or someone value? You see it everywhere. People being discarded like trash. The Abyss being a literal dumping ground. Items gaining power from emotional attachment. The cleaners giving worth to what others abandon. Even Rudo himself just fighting to prove that he isn't worthless. It's an interesting one that, off the top of my head, I can't think of another anime that's focused around this concept. It really does give a new meaning to the phrase, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Like, quite literally. Now, one thing that I really look for in a new anime is the antagonist group. The way that they're written is something that can make or break a series for me. And I'm not gonna lie, y'all, Season 1 hasn't even fully unleashed them yet, but the Raiders are already one of the greatest groups I've ever seen. They're not a cult or a hive mind where all the characters think the same way. And by this I don't just mean having different personalities, because of course groups like the Homunculi and the Espada, they have different personalities, overall they all are thinking in the same way, in the same vein. Here I'm talking about literally having different aspirations, different agendas, but all under the umbrella of what their boss can give to them. Personally, I liken them to the Phantom Troop, and if you're being compared to the Phantom Troop, that's how you know that it's good. Each person is also interesting for their own reasons as well. Bundes is inquisitive and curious about the enemy, kind of like Kyoraku and Stark from Bleach, which is interesting to note because he actually has the same voice actor in Japanese as Kyoraku. Weird is fierce and sharp, always ready to break something. And also, the hands that she has, my word, she can fight. Now, as of where I am in episode 20, Fu isn't completely explored yet, but I'm already getting the vibe of a coward that'll have some sort of surprising switch moment when he actually is put under pressure. Jabber is already one of my favorite characters. The guy is batshit crazy, unhinged in the scariest and funniest way. And it's the fact that he genuinely is having fun even when fighting life or death battles. He is literally here for the scrap. Then there's the boss, Zoto. And he is just the epitome of cool anime leaders. He's not loud, he's not dramatic, just menacing and always appearing to be in control. Always seeming a few steps ahead. He also seems pretty philosophical, so I'm interested in seeing his backstory to see how he got to what he's trying to do. These are villains who just show up and leave. At least I don't think that they're going to be like that. These are characters who actually push the plot forward and expose the darker side of this whole society. Really quickly, some other things I want to mention have to do with the scene direction, animation, and art style. As I mentioned, Gachiakuta has a clear visual identity that stands out. Its motion is hectic and yet also controlled and fluid. You got graffiti-like impact frames, grittier textures, and insanely polished fight choreography, as well as amazing rock and metal soundtracks. Not gonna lie, Studio Bones is absolutely frying with this one. And I mean, the fact that they're doing this and My Hero's final season at the same time, nah, y'all can have all my money. So all in all, Gachiakuta genuinely feels like the start of the next generation of anime classics. There's no doubt in my mind that when this age's big three talks are gonna start circulating, Gachiakuta is gonna have to be in those conversations. I mean, it literally has everything that it needs to succeed. Easily bumped straight into my top 20. And if season 1 is anything to go by, the ceiling for this show is literally endless. It is 100% the best new anime that I started this year. I'll even say that it's one of the best I've seen in like the past decade. So if you haven't started watching it yet, do yourself a favor this Thanksgiving season. And now I want to hear from you all. Have you started Gachiakuta? What is your experience with it? And do you love it as much as I do? And if you haven't, did this video convince you to start? Definitely let me know all that and more in the comments. That is the end of the video, y'all. But before we go, like it, subscribe, share it around with all your friends who love the series or anime and manga in general. I'm trying to build a community here, but I need your help to do it. That's gonna be all for me. I'll catch you on the next one. And always remember, one piece, one life. Now if you'll excuse me, even though I'm recording it here in my room in college, by the time you're seeing this video, I'm gonna be in Houston, and it's probably turkey time, so happy Thanksgiving.